know, when you get a little age on you, you have flashbacks. Just have a flashback. I'm seeing this curtain back here and I'm having a flashback. I'm coaching the Phoenix Cardinals. We've got a governor in Arizona and her name is Rose Mopper. Big old hairdo, went way up there. She asked me to go with her to Yuma to speak on Yuma says no to drugs. I said, Governor, I'll be more than happy to. Over 5,000 people in the audience. She said, I want to sit beside Coach Stallings. He's the only one here that doesn't want anything. She's sitting to my left. There's a curtain behind us. Somebody calls me up to the podium. I go back and sit down. My chair is ahead of the governor's. Well, you don't feel comfortable sitting in front of the governor. And so I just sort of scooted my chair back. No, you just sort of scooted back. When I did, I went off the back. You know, you throw your hand. I hit her right upside the head. She goes flying back, her head hits the pipe, her eyes roll back. I said, Lord, I've killed the governor. I've seen them do this on television. I'm down there doing it, and I don't know why, but I'm doing it. And I see a little eye twitch. So I know she's not dead. But I do not know how to address a woman governor in this situation. I got to say something. So I look at her and I said, honey, you okay? She said, my head hurts. I said, if it hadn't been for all that hair, you'd be dead. That was not the thing to say. If you're ever in that situation again, I don't care what you say, just don't say that. My complaining days are over. You people just complain, complain, complain. My complaining days are over. My little boy, John Mark, born with Down syndrome, had a monitor. I could hear him in his bedroom. He's having a hard time breathing. He's just having a hard time breathing. I go and get in bed with him. He just can't get comfortable. He's just having a hard time breathing. I check his oxygen saturation. You go in the hospital, they put that little thing on your finger, they check in your oxygen saturation. Everybody in here is in the 90s. If you're not in the 90s, you're ready for ICU. I checked Johnny. He was 62. I said, Johnny, how do you feel? He said, I'm fine. I'm fine. If everybody, any child had a reason to complain just a little bit, Johnny had the reason to complain. But he didn't do it. He said, I'm fine. Passed away the next morning. Absolute saddest day of my life. John Mark could not count to 10. I'd give him pills every night. And one of them was a big old pill, and I'd say to Johnny, you've got to count to 10 before I give you this pill. He just couldn't do it. He just get the digits all fouled up. But now he's had books written about him. He's had songs written about him. He's the only guy in the National Football League for the United Way commercial for 2 years. As long as they play football at the University of Alabama, the equipment room is named the John Mark Stallings Equipment Room. Faulkner University in Montgomery, Alabama, named their football playing field the John Mark Stallings playing field. I'm in 6 Hall of Fames, and I don't have a football field named after me. Beautiful playground behind the RISE program is named the John Stallings Playground. Hartselle, Alabama, just the other day, dedicated a park for the handicapped child, the John Mark Stallings Playground. Abilene Christian University picked 4 people that they felt like had literally helped change the world. John is one of those 4. And these accolades just go on and on and on. When Johnny passed away, the governor of Alabama sent an Alabama State Trooper Corps to Paris, Texas, to lead the funeral procession. The governor of Texas was there the night before. He saw that Alabama State Trooper Corps. He said, "What's that doing here?" 5 Texas State Trooper Corps in Johnny's funeral procession. People on both sides of the highway stopped, got out of their car, paid respect to a little youngster that had Down syndrome. Just recently, on the campus of the University of Alabama, they named a street the Johnny Stallings Drive. So when I say that I'm a little sad, because if Johnny were alive, he would probably be here with me tonight. Loved football. His little gift was he never forgot a name. He just never forgot a name. I can't remember one. He never forgot a name. When Johnny was 40 years old, had a birthday party. People came from every place I've ever coached. There was 200 or 300 people there. He called every soul by name. You people should be so lucky. I know you're not. People that are 40, 45, 50 years old, the reason you go visit your in-laws is because your spouse says if you visited your daddy lately, if you've gone to see your mother lately. And I put Johnny to bed every night. That's what he'd say. "Pop, what me and you gonna do tomorrow?" Didn't make any difference what it was. We're gonna work cattle, gonna get a haircut, gonna go see Charlie. But he just wanted to go to bed knowing that he and Pop were gonna do something the following day. So the thing that I felt like was the absolute worst thing that happened to me when Johnny was born, I prayed to God that he would change Johnny. You know, God can do that. But he changed me. And so I fell in love with Johnny, and Johnny's buried on our ranch, and what a joy it was to have him for 46 years. You know, I had a chance to visit with the players this afternoon. I love the college environment. I love the bands and the cheerleaders and the drill teams. And I visited with the players this afternoon. I'm telling you, they're a nice-looking bunch of young men. They conducted themselves extremely well. You're very fortunate in this part of the country to have players that represent themselves. And it starts at the top. I know Dr. Evans has done a great job, and then Coach Woodard, but you need to be proud of what you have. I visited with the players a few minutes and told them some things that I felt like, but the bottom line is if you're a player, you got to think right. It's just something about thinking right. Pure old thinking right. I'm coaching the St. Louis Cardinals, and I've had dinner with Stan Musial. Here's one of the great baseball players of all time, and nobody at the table except Stan Musial and I. I'm pinching myself. I said, "That's Stan Musial." I said, "I know it." We hadn't been talking long, and conversation got around to baseball. And he sort of leaned over that table, and he pulled that back. He got a little age on him now. He said, "Coach, when that ball hadn't gone that far, I knew what it was. It was a fastball, it was a slider, it was a sinker. I couldn't wait to hit it." And then he said, "You know what I really enjoyed about playing big league baseball for the St. Louis Cardinals?" And I said, "No, Mr. Musial, what's that?" He said, "I wanted it to be the bottom of the ninth, behind 1 run, 2 outs, a runner on second, runner on third. And I wanted to hear the announcer say, 'Stan Musial to the plate.'" See, that is thinking right. See, most of us want somebody else to go to the plate. Then if he strikes out, he hits the grounder, we sort of pat him on the back, said, "No big deal." Stan Musial said he wanted to hear the announcer say, Stan Musial to the plate. No question, Stan Musial was a great hitter. But see, I say that some daddy, some granddaddy, some junior high coach, some high school coach, somewhere along the line, taught Stan Musial how to think right. It's just so important that we think right. Son, when you get that bat and you go in the batter's box and you look at the pitcher, you get ready to hit that thing. I'm playing golf with the great Ben Hogan, Shady Oaks Country Club, Fort Worth, Texas. We both were playing fairly well, and he was driving a golf cart. I said, Mr. Hogan, let me ask you a question. He said, all right. I said, you're playing in the British Open, the U.S. Open, something that you really, really want to win. You hit your ball. You step back and you're watching your opponent hit his. What goes through your mind? Do you want to see him hit it bad? Because I sort of do. You know, if I'm playing John Paul and he knocks it in the water, it's going to tickle me just a little bit. I'm not going to make a big deal about it. I just wondered what Mr. Hogan thought. He slammed on that brake. I can shut my eyes and still feel the sensation of that cart rocking back. This is the middle of the 18th fairway, Shady Oaks Country Club. He wheels around, looks at me. He said, boy, let me tell you something. If I ever win a golf match, I want it to be because I played good, not because you played bad. He said, do you understand that? I said, yes, sir. I understand that. See, that's thinking right. It's just pure D.O. thinking right. I'm coaching for the Dallas Cowboys. We had 12 rookies make our football team. We sitting around the table, coming up with the goal for the Dallas Cowboys the year that we had all those rookies that made our team. And after sitting around the table for 2 or 3 days, here's what we came up with. For everybody to have a genuine appreciation for the contribution that everybody makes. We said, now when the year's over, if the offense appreciates the defense, defense the offense, player the coach, coach the player, player has an appreciation for the trainer that keeps him on the field, equipment man keeps him in good gear. Just a genuine appreciation. Last game we lost that year was in the Super Bowl. People used to ask me all the time, you coached at Alabama, who'd you appreciate at Alabama? I said, first of all, my secretary, because she made my job easier. And I appreciated that lady that kept my building clean. You just can't imagine how many people going through Tuscaloosa, Alabama during the season would stop and come see me. I didn't have anything to do. They just come see me. That building was spotless. Secretary, the lady's name was Ben. I called her Charlie. She just looked like Charlie to me. That building was spotless. Charlie kept it there. I used to tell our players, I said, guys, if y'all could just perform the same level as that lady does that keeps our building clean, it's not going to be a matter of whether or not we win or not. It's going to be a matter of how much we're going to win by. See, I want them to have some appreciation. In major college football, I'm sure Lamar has the same problem. You can't take everybody you have. You put a travel list. You may have 90 players on your football team, and you can only take 60, so you post a travel list. So I'd watch the kids come, and they would check that travel list, and a little tear would be in their eye. They just weren't good enough. See, if you're a player, you want to be on the bus. You may not play, but you want to be on the bus. But you're just not good enough to be on the bus. Let me tell you what you're good enough to do. You good enough to get this guy ready to play. You good enough to get this guy ready to play. I wanted those guys that you got ready to play have an appreciation for the guy that got him ready to play. Then that's when you have a little oneness on your team, a little unity on your team. It's a genuine appreciation for the contribution that everybody makes. I want to tell you something else that's important. Just a little bit of kindness. We live in a world where it's give and take. Just a little bit of kindness goes a long way. Only place I've ever coached where Johnny didn't like to go to church was St. Louis. I was coaching the St. Louis Cardinals. Johnny just was not comfortable going to church in St. Louis. Hold on to his mother's skirt. He didn't know anybody until one Sunday. Just a lady said, Johnny, down at the end of the hall is a table. Got a present on it. I think it's got your name on it. He goes down, a little teddy bear, didn't amount to a whole lot, but he felt a little bit better about that church. The next Sunday, just a lady said, Johnny, down at the end of the hall there's a table. Got a present on it. I think it's got your name on it. Just that little bit of kindness meant all the world to a youngster that had Down syndrome. We just need to show a little kindness every once in a while. We need to show some appreciation. Why in the world would a group of people come out and support an athletic program here at Lamar? Because it's the right thing to do. I'm not a Phi Beta Kappa, but I'm not an idiot either. I've got a daughter and her husband that's moved to the country of Haiti. Your wildest imagination, you can't believe how poor the people are in Haiti. A town of 170,000, has no electricity, has no sewage, has no fresh water. My daughter and her husband moved there to feed the poor, give them some medical attention. And why in the world would my daughter, who and her husband had a successful practice in Nashville, Tennessee, move to Haiti? Because it's the right thing to do. Just simple as that. It's the right thing to do. So to support an athletic program, and I was visiting with these young men this afternoon, education is the key. We go to college for an education, and while we're there, we play football. We don't go to college to play football, and while we're there, we're trying to get an education. The real joy that I got out of coaching, the real joy was seeing that player graduate. I can't tell you how many mothers, grandmothers in South Alabama would tell me something like this. First one ever on either side of the family to ever go to college. Help him with his books. Didn't say anything about making a good football player out of it. Said help him with his books. They wanted him to graduate. And to see that player walk across that stage and get his degree was a real joy that I got out of coaching. And somewhere along the line, we can't lose sight of that. The evening is going on, and you've got other things to do. And so closing, you know, during the Christmas vacation, we write Christmas letters. Now, Ruth Ann can't wait to get them. She wants to know what Dolores, John Paul's wife, is doing and their children, and she just can't wait to get a Christmas letter. And she writes Christmas letters. 2 or 3 years ago, we got this letter from this lady that had a severely handicapped child, both mentally and physically. And in the letter she talked about the joys of raising that child. Then she talked about the struggles. And this is the way she closed her letter. Life is not about waiting until the storm passes by. It's learning how to dance in the rain. Learning how to dance in the rain. See, little Johnny taught me how to dance in the rain. Seeing these youngsters struggle and yet have some success, they're learning how to dance in the rain. And in closing, I love the poem, The Dash. I read where a man stood to speak at the funeral of a friend, made mention of the tombstone, the dates from the beginning to the end. At first he mentioned the date of the birth. The latter he mentioned with tears. He said what matters most of all is that dash between the years, because it represents all the time that he was alive upon this earth, and only those who knew him best knew what that dash was worth. Matters how much you own, your house, your cars, your cash. What matters most of all, the way you live that dash. If you could just slow down a bit and see what's true and real, try to understand how the other fellow feels, and more often, wear a smile, because a little dash may only last a while. And as your eulogy is being read, and your life is being rehashed, are you going to be proud to hear the people say the way you lived your dash? See, just doing the right thing, strictly because it's the right thing to do. Supporting these youngsters, seeing that they go to college, supporting President Evans' program, and just seeing that they do right and make a difference in their lives. Most people don't ever make a difference in anybody's life. But all of a sudden you have a chance to make a difference in somebody's life. The guy that got up here and led the opening prayer, he was a FCA man. I talked to him just briefly, and I said, the longest continuous chapter of the Fellowship of Christian Athletes was at the University of Alabama. I go to Texas A&M. I get this call from Coach Bryant. He said, Beebs, you know the worst thing that's ever happened to the football program at Alabama since I've been here? I said, no, what's that, Coach? He said, it's the FCA. All we want to do is hug on one another, love on one another. Nobody will hate anybody anymore. He said, it's destroying our football team. A couple of months later, I get this call from Coach Bryant. He said, Beebs, you know the greatest thing that's happened to the football program since I've been here? And I said, what's that, Coach? He said, it's the FCA. It's brought us some oneness, some closeness. And he said, I just wish you would have had something like that when I was playing, when I was in college, when I was in high school. So support the FCA, the various programs that you have. And what a joy it is to be here and visit with these young men. I'm telling you, they look nice. You know, you do as you like. But in order to marry my daughters, they got to work for me on my ranch. I get them up before daylight. I don't even let them think about quitting until after dark. The girls will say, Daddy, what do you think? I said, I think you need to cut him. Cut him loose, let him go. Daddy, he's a nice boy. I know he's a nice boy, but he hadn't got a work ethic. I'd get him up before day. You can always build a fence when you don't need one. I live on a ranch. I've got a son-in-law that's a PhD. I got one's an MD. I got one's an attorney. I got one's a football coach. But they all got one thing in common. They're going to build a fence. Don't ever set a work ethic aside. We need the work ethic. That's what these football players, they're going to get an education, and I'm telling you, they're going to be blessed with a work ethic too. You got an outstanding coach, an outstanding president, and I appreciate you letting me be a little part of your program. I've thoroughly enjoyed the college atmosphere, the cheerleaders, the band, and that just brought back great memories. Thank you all for letting me do this.